Well, we have a rockin' world again this morning. There's never a dull moment. The CPI came in hotter than expected. The market went crazy, dropping a whole bunch. Meanwhile, Tesla went up. Then on X this morning, I predicted that the market would cool off because the CPI wasn't maybe nearly as bad as it looked, and yet now the market and that happened. But now Chairman Powell is speaking, and I noticed the market is heading down again. Could it be anything that the chairman just said? I don't know yet. But if it turns out that Chairman Powell says something today in testimony that I think is important enough, I'll have a special show later this morning to cover that. When I say later this morning, California time, so could be already after it could be noon for you. All right, so let's go ahead. What else do I have on the list this morning? Yeah, Tesla being up in the early going, that's a good sign. But somebody sent, William Brackbill sent me this. He says, your ultimate success is when he says, I get a clone account follower who claims to be Randy Kirk. He says, congratulations, great. Does anybody know what to do about those clone followers? If you get something like that, would you please report it? Anyway, I guess I'm a success now. That's the perfect the evidence is clear. It's clear. All right, from Bloomberg this morning. This is probably one of the reasons why Tesla is up this morning. This is Benchmark, a very good company out there, says they have started coverage of Tesla. They've given a buy rating and a $475 price target, touting the autonomous vehicles, the robotics, the energy generation and storage, potential growth drivers, in addition to further electric vehicle market penetration. And the shares were up there. The article suggesting that this is part of it. The company has outlined a path for growth with a more affordable vehicle scheduled for the first half, unsupervised full self-driving as a paid service in Austin in June, and the Optimus robot production ramp through 2026 and beyond, according to their analyst, Mickey Legg, writing in a note to clients. He says his model only incorporates vehicle growth. So the $475 is just on vehicles. So there could be significant potential upside should autonomous vehicles and Optimus, Tesla's humanoid robot, achieve scale. So he's at 475 plus plus. I'm at 700 plus plus. So we're still a little bit off, but hey, he's in the right direction. By the way, I have a new theory. I want to throw it out, show it to you this morning. Maybe I'll talk about it with Jeff later today, maybe or Brian, who will both be on later today. It probably needs a lot more work, but let me just throw this out. Tesla's superchargers might give us a hint about future competition across the board. Now, you would think it wouldn't be that hard for another company to make a decent supercharger that could compete with Tesla. But it's like, what, 12, 13 years later? And it hasn't happened. Tesla keeps making their units better, higher charge rates, faster, more reliable, and cheaper by 2/3 or more than anybody else out there. They make them for $40,000 a piece, and other people are out there at 120, 140,000 each. Their lead in this area, their manufacturing prowess just destroys the competition. But these competitors still get a little bit of market share. That's the two parts of my theory. Yes, Tesla gets a massive lead, but the other competitors come in because the TAMs are big, and so the competitors there's still a market. Now, they don't make any money, like no other EV company is making money. Maybe BYD, but they may not be making money on their BEV sales. It's really hard to tell, and that's according to AJ and others. Anyway, that's my new theory. We'll play it out. We'll see what other people think about my theory. FSD is now available in Mexico and Puerto Rico, and YouTube videos are already showing up of folks driving their FSD in those areas. Okay, AJ has a couple things for me this morning. He says, first of all, funny how the Tesla community goes every year through the same cycle. Strong third quarter drives Tesla trending into fourth quarter, and then the sell-off in the first quarter which is seasonally always the weakest quarter, and we know what's going to happen. And then we get the bounce on highly predictable improved earnings after the first quarter. Yeah, that's interesting, AJ. I hadn't really thought about it that way. All right, he says number 2. He has a deep dive into BYD's global vehicle sales. As you can see, well, I'm not showing you the chart. He says not only Tesla sales calmed down, but also BYD's sales decreased. BYD's sales dropped 40% in January. This was driven by seasonal factors. And then in Tesla's cases, there was also this, the shutdown for the Model Y changeover. Anyway, 40% for BYD in January. Gary Black has this morning. He says, one of my Tesla investment tenants, I say theories, he says tenants. One of his investment tenants has been that Tesla will be first to achieve generalized unsupervised autonomy, but that others will copy it and be approved by regulators for autonomous development about the same time. This prediction has annoyed Tesla Uber bulls for years, but now is looking more and more accurate as Huawei, BYD, Baidu, and other Chinese manufacturers all seem to be rolling out low-cost Level 4 autonomous vehicles where autonomy is added at zero or near zero cost. Now, each of those has their own special aspect to them. They're not all equal. If the Chinese auto manufacturers can do it based on AI simulation, then maybe U.S. automakers can also do it. My 380 Tesla price target assumes no incremental value for autonomous ride-hailing, zero, but includes a 15% FSD take rate and forecasts that Tesla's volume will grow to 8 million cars in 2030 versus 1.8 million in 2024. So in other words, he's going all the way out to 2030, and then he's placing a value on the company in 2030 that does not include ride-hail and does not include Optimus in 2030, and then he's backing all of that, just the bending metal part. He's bringing that all back to present value, and that's how he comes up with his $380 price target. Gary also goes on to say, here's the positive catalyst that he sees. Number 1, Trump streamlines the federal process for securing autonomous driving licensing. Number 2, $30,000 to $35,000 Tesla compact launch. So some kind of a new vehicle, a more affordable vehicle in the first half. Number 3, a Model Y Juniper will help accelerate the sales of the Model Y. Number 4, FSD licensing deal with one or more OEMs. That's one of his favorites. Number 5, Tesla likely first to market with generalized unsupervised FSD full year 25. He says, number 6, the Delaware Supreme Court chancellor gets overturned. That would be interesting. Hope it happens. Number 7, Optimus progress becomes more transparent and production begins in full year 26. That certainly would be a catalyst for sure. He says, now here's some negative catalysts. Randy's not very good at the negative side, so I'll have Gary help me out here. He says, number 1, Trump eliminates the $7,500 IRA EV purchase credit. As I've said, as Brian Wang has said, if that happens, I think it's a January 1 next year, and it will help sales this year. Number 2, Tesla fails to introduce a new, cheaper form factor as the new $25,000, $30,000 car, and instead cuts prices and costs similar to the way they did in 2023. Number 3, Robotaxi launch is delayed until 2026. Yeah, that would be a negative. And number 4, Tesla defies expectation. What? Oh, full year 25 delivery expectations are a big miss. They don't hit anything like what their projection was. And then Tesla 2025 PE of 112 right now is the highest forward PE since November of 2021. So those would be his negatives. This is Randy Kirk, by the way. I know I said that above. I'll say it again. Hit the like. Yeah, actually do it. The like, the subscribe. I need more subscribers. And the notify button, because you're going to want to hear definitely all day long today. You're definitely, who's my lineup today? None other than Jeff Lutz, followed by Brian Wang. This is going to be a very good day for content on this channel. The consumer price index for all urban consumers increased by 0.5% on a seasonally adjusted basis in January after rising 0.4% in December, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reported today. Over the last 12 months, the all items increased 3% before seasonal adjustment. The index for shelter rose now this is important. Listen to this now. The index for shelter rose 0.4% in January. That's 5% per year, accounting for nearly 30% of the monthly all items increase. Now, I saw Jeff Lutz putting up something saying this is like a 12-month, it's like 12 months old information. I mean, it takes a long time to get through, but this is crazy. We know that houses are not going up that much at this point, and we know that rents are dropping. So and it's 30% of the number that you're seeing. All right. The energy index rose 1.1% over the month as the gasoline index increased 1.8%. What's that? 20% a year. Okay, so that throws things completely off. And as we know, oil prices are coming down, have come down dramatically, which is going to be followed by gasoline prices coming down. The index for food also increased in January, rising 0.4%. The index for food at home rose 0.5%. And the index for food away from home increased only 0.2%. But what do you think that was, of course? That was eggs. It's eggs and beef, basically. And those are both transitory, if you will. I'm sorry to use the word. The index for all items less food and energy did go up 0.4% in January. And the things that increased were motor vehicle insurance, recreation, used cars and trucks, medical care, communications, and airline fares. The increase for apparel, personal care, and household furnishings actually went down. So the all items index rose 3% for the 12 months ending January after rising 2.9 last month. The all items less food and energy rose 3.3 over the last 12 months. The energy index, of course, we just heard, rose 1%. The index for eggs increased 15.2%. It's the largest increase in the eggs index since June of 2015. It accounted, now listen to this, it accounted for 2/3 of the total monthly food at home increase. 2/3. So it's just, you can't take that. It's not going to stay. It's not going to continue to be that way. Gasoline was up big, and that won't hold up either. All right, from the 𝐐𝐽𝐵 letter, he's commenting on what just happened. He says, to top things off, CPI inflation on used cars and trucks jumped by 2.2% in January. That's 26% a year. This marks the largest monthly jump since May of 2023. Consumers will definitely feel the effect of the recent price surges. Services also continue to be the hottest part of the core CPI, and labor costs drive that. So as I've been saying for months, the labor cost is the place to watch, and labor costs are not likely to be coming down with reverse immigration taking place right now. But a lot of these increases that you saw, we saw big union negotiations that resulted in some of these prices going up. The Trump administration is going to need to get some kind of work visa program going with the southern border in order to get some of this immigration in legally, now that they've completely shut it down and are sending folks home. But unfortunately, whatever Trump is doing, whatever he's trying to do, is being slowed by dumb court rulings. And Trump later on Tuesday, this is what he said. Trump said on Tuesday he would abide by court rulings. He would appeal those he doesn't agree with. He says, I always abide by the courts, and then I have to appeal it. Trump said when asked if he would comply. He then expressed some frustration, saying judges were slowing his efforts to cut waste from the government, which would help the CPI, which would help the everything. But then what he's done is these judges are slowing down momentum, he says, and it gives crooked people more time to cover up the books. So this is from Fortune. Sam Altman says the Silicon Valley has had a vibe shift since Donald Trump took office. Speaking to the Time Tech podcast, he said, the breath of fresh air for the tech industry, calling out the previous Biden administration for being unfriendly to tech and business. Silicon Valley has largely welcomed Trump's lower regulation approach to the tech sector. Altman has personally donated $1 million to Trump's inaugural fund. The OpenAI boss said there was huge excitement in the U.S. tech industry that could build a lot in the U.S. now. And by the way, the NASDAQ was the first one to start improving this morning after the big drop. Maybe we can go figure out how to get good at semiconductor fab again, he says. Get good at robotic factories to make data centers again. Get good at building new energy, he said. Altman is part of a group of tech leaders who have significantly softened their stance on Trump. 9 years ago, Altman publicly criticized Trump for promoting casual racism, misogyny, and conspiracy theories. All of that's gone away now. All the Democrats want to talk about now is stopping Trump from cutting waste, fraud, and abuse. Just getting in his way any way they can. Anyway, however, last month, Altman officially declared he had changed his perspective about the U.S. president. In a post on X, he said, watching POTUS more carefully recently has really changed my perspective on him. I wish I had done more of my own thinking and definitely fallen into the non-playable character trap. I'm not going to agree with him on everything, but I think he will do incredible for the country in many ways. So what has happened to the markets on top of all of this? So apparently Powell didn't say anything too screamingly horrible, because Tesla is now up $9.26, definitely leading the way for the markets. The Dow, which was down a lot more, is now down 361. The NASDAQ, which was down a lot more, is only down 86 at this point. S&P, which was also down more, is only down 3760. So Powell did not destroy what was already happening, which was people going, okay, yes, labor is an issue, and the rest of it is pretty much a nothing burger. Okay, let's go ahead. The Magnificent Seven, Apple continues up following on its good day yesterday. The rest of the Magnificent Seven are still down, although all of them are trending up towards the green. We have got the Cathie Woods completely mixed. All of them are trending up towards the green. All right, so yeah. I don't know what to tell you. You got to dig into the consumer price index. When the CPI comes out, when the PPI comes out, when the PCE comes out, when all of these things comes out, the headline numbers are usually not where the information is that's useful and valuable. And that's, of course, why you listen to me, right? Because I dig in. I want to find out what's really going on. All right, so we have got, in terms of percentages, we have got the Dow down 0.76%. NASDAQ is only down 0.4%. S&P down 0.56%, and Tesla up now 2.91%, or almost $10, $9.56. All right, so, but I'm guessing that the bond index, however, I'm gonna guess here, is still, 11.4. That's about where it's been all morning. 11.4 basis points up, back to 4.651. I'm very sad. As you can well imagine, you know how I feel about the bonds, where we need to get those down, which is what Trump is trying to do. Send letters to your Congress people, send letters to your senator if they're Democrats, and tell them to please let Trump do what he was elected to do. Let Musk do what Trump said for the last 3 months of the campaign. We're going to do this Doge thing, and we're going to come in and we're going to cut government, which is going to be good for everybody. And the Democrats are standing in the way. The 2-year is up 7.5 basis points. The 1 month is up only 0.2 of a basis point. So that's interesting. Okay, we've got oil this morning down $1.24. All right, going back, that trend I like, back down, as I said earlier. This is going to be, it's going to take a whole month before we see this in the CPI again, but oil is down. Both Brent and Texas Intermediate are down. So we're at $72 for Texas and $75.85 for Brent at this point. Natural gas up a little bit this morning, 0.8, but still now kind of in the middle of its recent trading range at $3.50. We've got gold down just a little bit, $13.80 at $29.19. So pulling back from that effort to cross the 3,000 threshold. Silver is up, though, 0.66 at $32.50, and copper is up 0.49% at $4.62. We have got the dollar jumping. It doesn't look like it's jumped that much. 1.37 against the yen. That's a pretty good jump. Okay. We have got Bitcoin up 673 at 95,781. So Bitcoin has really settled down the last few days, not moving very much. Kind of not a lot of action there. And no headlines about Chairman Powell. So I'm guessing that I won't have a special program later this morning, but I might. We'll still see what he actually says to the Congress today. Okay, I think that's it. Brian White was on last night. I will put a card up here. You definitely, actually, I'm going to put I'm going to put a White and a Wang up there both, because I got Brian White and Brian Wang last night, both with phenomenal shows. In particular, I'm sorry, Brian White, but Brian Wang and I had really what would you call it? A master's level class in finance. And anyway, I'll put both cards up. You choose. They're both really, really good. And then later today, we've got Brian Wang back at the 7:45 hour, and Jeff Lutz with the normal routine around 5 o'clock California time. That's it. Hit like, subscribe, and notify. I would love to have you become part of my Patreon support group. That would be fantastic. And again, if you see anybody posing as me on X, please report it and block them if you would. That'd be fantastic. Okay, that's all I got for you right now. It's been great talking to you.